This home has a great open floor plan, but it didn't start out that way. Stick around and I'll show you what we mean.
Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford, the voice of home improvement, with projects, tips, and ideas to help you improve your home.
Come on in to this dark, gloomy foyer. We're about to change all of that by removing this entire wall that leads into a room that a lot of people have found that they just don't use anymore, the formal living room. We'll also be enlarging the cased opening between the formal living room and the dining room to open that up. And then to really make it look great, we're establishing a 13-foot cased opening right in the middle of this wall that'll incorporate all of this area into the den that's right behind this wall. This is a real popular project to create a more open floor plan in a home, and it'll essentially completely change the feel of this house when you enter in through the front door. And I love these kind of jobs. Stay with us. Our first step to really open this area up is to take care of the largest opening we're dealing with, the 13-foot cased opening going in this wall. And we've already started by establishing a center mark, and then we'll go 6.5 feet from that center mark to make our mark on either side. Okay. All right. Then we'll use our level to get a nice plumb mark down each side of this, and then we can cut out the drywall and really see what's inside the wall. Now, we've already taken up all of the old parquet floor that was in this area. It wasn't in very good shape. It's all out of the way, so now we can really get serious on this wall. We begin by removing the chair rail moldings and baseboards along the back wall so that dentists can extend our marks for the opening down to the floor. The electrical outlets, crown molding, anything that will get in the way of demolition is removed. Now the fun part. We start knocking access holes in the drywall. We could cut it and remove it in sections, but that would be boring and slow. This way, the wallboard comes off easily and quickly so that we can see what exactly is inside the wall. We don't like what we find. We find a cast iron drain pipe and several water lines serving an upstairs bath that have been concealed inside the wall. We need a new plan. While I consult with the plumber and the homeowner, the guys continue with the demolition of the other walls. That means more drywall removal and a lot more dust. The plumber is on his way, but right now I'd rather be eating that dust than telling the owners what we found. Back inside, the guys are working on the wall between the foyer and the living room. This wall is not bearing any load at all, so it can be removed completely, studs and all. The only thing left are the electrical wires and boxes, which are cut free from the studs and left hanging for the electrician. Now, the doorway from the foyer to the den is also removed since it will no longer be needed in the new open floor plan. The foyer is also being expanded by removing a little corner wall that used to serve as a return air chaseway for the air conditioner. With the removal of this corner, the space is really opening up, and right on cue, the plumber arrives and he has a plan.
Well, after the dentist and his crew comes in here and trenches out this concrete and opens up the hole, we're going to take this sanitary line here, roll it back down into the slab, as well as the water lines where we reconnect and join those underneath the slab, bring them underneath here, back over to this chase. As we go up this chase here, we'll get into the joists and cross the line back over and come back to this existing bathroom, catch the toilet, catch the tub with some new piping, bring it all back down here into PVC piping, join it back underneath the slab here, and reconnect it and get this sewer running again.
Right behind Artie, the guys go back to work with the jackhammer, chiseling away at a very hard concrete slab. They've already constructed temporary walls on either side of the area to support the ceiling and remove the wall that concealed the pipes. This work is just as dusty as drywall removal, but much noisier and much harder on the back. Well, I delivered the bad news, and the owners took it pretty well, all things considered. This little surprise is going to increase the budget by $2,000 to $3,000 to handle all of the jackhammer work and all of the plumbing that will be required to relocate these lines. But the reality is they'll get their money back, because with the updated floor plan, it's going to increase the value of the house so much, this will be money well spent. Now, while we keep plugging along at the slab, check this out.
It's time for this week's Simple Solution from home repair expert Joe Truini.
This week, Joe has a great tip that pet owners will love, but dogs don't like it at all.
You're right, Dan. If you have a dog, chances are you're going to have to put up a fence to keep the dog in the backyard. Now, that's your job, but the dog's job, of course, is to try to get out. And that's what Blackie here was doing. She was digging under the gate because, of course, there was a couple inches of space so the gate could open and close. So to solve that, I took a 4x4. This is a pressure-treated landscape 4x4, and I cut it to fit really tightly between the two gate posts.
I see.
I set it down at a height that it won't interfere with the gate, but there's just a little bit of space so Blackie can't squeeze underneath the gate. And I toe-nailed it in place with a couple of nails on each end.
Well, that should last a long time then, with it being material that's rated for ground contact.
Yep,
and
same as the gate posts.
Okay, and what, galvanized nails?
Galvanized nails. You could use decking screws as well. And in fact, I did this at one other gate, and Blackie tried digging underneath it once or twice and just gave up, and that was the end of the problem.
Okay, now you're going to backfill it afterwards?
Backfill it so it'll be nice and even, make a nice finished, durable threshold. And this also works great for garden gates to keep critters out for your vegetable garden.
Well, you probably haven't made a friend with Blackie, but I guess your roaming days are through. What a difference a couple days make when you're removing walls on the interior of a home like this. We've been able to establish our 13-foot opening on this side, and we've been able to remove the wall in the foyer to open that area up, and homeowners decided to go ahead and remove this wall that was between the formal living room and the dining room. Now, our biggest challenge, though, was the plumbing pipes we talked about earlier. Originally, the pipe came down from the upstairs bathroom right through this wall and right on down, and of course all of the water lines went right down with it. Now, our plumber really had to do some thinking on how to reroute these lines, and what he was able to do is to hook in with PVC pipe, tie in all of the shower and the vanity sink upstairs into the main trunk line. Then he dropped it down into an existing air conditioning fur down, and actual lines rested above the ductwork itself. Then it routed over, brought it right down inside a little pocket we established for him here. It was very near the corner of the wall that we removed. Then the lines turned right in our trenched path and tied back into the original connections. And then we poured the concrete over it so that we could move along with the rest of the project. Now that took a little time and a little money, but it really made a difference in opening everything up. Now after that was done, we were able to concentrate on a very important structural part of removing walls, and that's the installation of the 2 LVL beams. Now, laminated veneer lumber beams have been around for a number of years, and they're all pre-engineered to carry a certain amount of weight. In years past, we would have had to use actual steel beams here, which is a lot harder to work with and a lot more expensive than the LVL beams. We had an engineer work with us to make sure that we sized these properly, because we had a lot of weight up above us here from the second story, as well as the roof load up above that. Now, another area we had to use LVL beams were in the foyer, where we had an air conditioner chaseway that had to be removed. We had to put a couple beams in there, including some carriage bolts, in order to tie all of that together. We had a similar situation here where we had this wall removed. Now, ordinarily, if your ceiling joists are running in the same direction as the wall, it wouldn't be a load-bearing wall, and you could just remove the wall without any concern about the load up above it. Here we had a gable section, which is part of the roof, up in the attic that was bearing right down on this wall, so we had to supplement the ceiling joist with an LVL on each side and bolt it all together. That'll ensure that there won't be any sagging, and we were fortunate in that we could do this in a flush beam arrangement so that once the drywall is installed, you'll never even know the beam's there at all. So that worked out great. You know, many times when you're at this stage in a renovation project, the homeowners decide they want to do a couple things extra. Many of those additional items are taking place here in the den area. Now, like many dens of the 70s, it originally had wood paneling that had at some point been covered with a grass cloth and kind of an old-fashioned look. And actually, this is some of the last bit of the paneling and grass cloth that's left. The guys are about to remove all of that. Now, with all of this being removed, we're planning on replacing it with drywall like we have in the rest of this open floor plan area. Now, while the walls are open like this, we've taken advantage of being able to add a little bit of extra electrical work, even some cable TV being put in for the adjacent kitchen, and also we'll be installing more insulation along here to pick up the overall efficiency level of this room. Also, some additional lighting going in. You can see the recessed lights that have been installed here, and a few little what we call hockey puck lights right here that will be able to light up or feature the fireplace once they're completely finished. Now, we've been able to install these without removing all of the ceiling by cutting a trench here in the middle of the room to provide the wiring over to these areas. And then these are recessed housings that are a little different than some. These are called remodel housings that allow you to install those without cutting the large hole and nailing them off to the ceiling joist. So this makes it a little easier, and it enables us to keep the budget a little reasonable by not removing all of the drywall. Hey, it's going to make such a difference having all of this the same type of wall, maybe all of it painted very similar, and really accomplishing what we wanted and tying in all these areas as one nice open floor plan. Now stay with us. We're going to put the finishing touches on all of this before the show's over with, including a very innovative entertainment center that's now being built. Stay with us.
Let's join Danny at the Home Center to check out this week's best new product. Brought to you by the Home Depot.
Game rooms are so popular these days, and I think every game room needs one of these, a personal beverage vending machine. It's called the Skybox from Maytag, and I think they've done a great job in designing the look of these vending machines. It's available in platinum as well as black, and even the front panel lights up that really makes it look like an authentic vending machine. Now the panels, you have one on the front and one on each side, can be customized with your favorite racing team or pro or college team, so you may even want to change them out according to the sports season. Now, it also comes with a number of different labels for the beverages themselves, and if your favorite beverage happens to be an adult beverage, well, you can lock it up with a key here for the door, as well as individual locks here to lock off one or all four of the different choices. Now you can also buy, it's an optional thing, but you can buy a base for it called the Sky Base, so that you have room temperature storage for potato chips or DVDs, snacks, or maybe some of the extra beverages here. And it holds 64 cans or 32 bottles of your favorite beverage. So for the cost of an average refrigerator, you can have your own personal beverage vending machine. What a great gift for the family or dear old dad. The project really starts looking completed when all of the drywall has been installed. They've also started on all of the finishing. Won't take long before we'll be at the trim stage. Now before any of the drywall was installed, we concentrated on getting our insulation in place, not only in the outside walls, but also in any critical area for soundproofing. One of those areas was right where all of the pipes were relocated by our plumber. We put as much insulation in this area as we possibly could, so that later on when the homeowners are occupying this area and someone happens to flush the toilet upstairs, it'll minimize the amount of sound that transfers down to the downstairs. Now one area that is not completely finished yet is this wall, because there's a lot of wiring taking place here, not only with electrical work, but speaker wires, cabling, a little bit of everything that'll go into an entertainment center that'll be positioned on this wall. Now this entertainment center was very important to the man of the house.
What Mr. Douglas wanted to accomplish was to create an environment in his house that was similar to home theater. What we'll actually do here will actually sound better than actually going up to the movie theater. So what we've put in is a 50-inch digital light processing TV, a 7.1 channel audio system. What we took into consideration while we were doing it was, of course, the hardwood floors, the type of ceiling that we have in here, the acoustics, and we kind of integrated that in with the budget that he had in place. You can make even the smaller home theaters in a box sound great if they're installed correctly with the correct wiring, the placement of the speakers, and the placement of your furniture. We like to square up a room rather than caddy it and create what's called a sweet spot.
Before Ron can create that sweet spot for enjoying the home theater, we have a lot of work to do with the drywall finishing and plenty of trim to install. The guys have a new laser sight miter saw that really speeds up the process, and it's a good thing because they have to make way for the flooring contractor. Because the owners have chosen to unify the newly opened up space by using the same wood flooring throughout, the flooring contractor has a big job. He's installing a 6-inch wide engineered plank floor that's a little more than half an inch thick. This product is ideal for this application because it can be glued straight down to the existing concrete subfloor. Now this type of flooring is available in a wide range of pre-finished woods and stain colors, but these owners have chosen an unfinished oak floor so that they can get exactly the shade of stain they want. The installation goes pretty much like traditional hardwood. The planks fit together tongue and groove with the end seam staggered. The big difference is that no nails are used in this application. The adhesive is troweled on and it holds the floor down, so Clint's rubber-tipped hammer is strictly for forcing the boards tighter together. He works from wall to wall, filling in a narrow section at a time to make sure the floor lines are parallel to the surrounding walls. Before the floor is finished, there are a lot of details to get out of the way, like completing the installation of the new recessed lights and all the electrical outlets and switches. And when the traffic dies down, the floors are sanded before the stain and first coat of sealer go on. Then they're buffed, sealed again, and buffed some more before the final coat of sealer goes on. Our hardwood floors really turned out nice, and since the homeowners chose the same flooring for the front area as the back, it helps for everything to flow together. Now at this point in the job, it's socks only to protect the finish on the floor. Now our painter has just a little more work to do on the walls and the trim to add an extra coat, and the last component of the project is going in now. Now this is our kind of unique entertainment center that'll be positioned against this wall, and you can see behind it how we have a cavity back there, which is actually a closet that the homeowners will still be able to use for storage, but it'll make it very easy for Ron, our electronics whiz, to hook up all of the electrical components here on the back side. Now we have doors that will cover everything up, and our cabinet guys will be putting shelving in later, so it should work out just perfect. Now we're getting close on this project, and when we come back, everything will be completed and we'll give you the tour.
Let's head outside for Around the Yard with lawn and garden expert Tricia Craven-Worley. Brought to you by TimberTech Composite Decking.
Tricia, I know exactly what you're doing now. You're gathering the leaves to put in your compost pile.
I am, but I'm going to take it through an intermediate step between.
Okay, all right. What's going on with the string trimmer here?
Well, I'm going to use the string trimmer, and I'm going to shred layers of leaves in this old container.
What's the advantage of that other than it takes up a lot less room?
Well, there are a lot of advantages. You know, the smaller the leaf surface is, the more easily the microbes can work and get in there and help decompose. And also the earthworms love crawling in and out of all those surfaces.
Okay, all right. Well, what's involved in it there? Do you just dump it all in there and then churn it up, or how does it work?
That's a really good point. No, we're going to do this in layers because we want to have just a little bit of a layer for the shredder to do its work, the string trimmer.
Okay, well, let's see how well this works.
Okay, stand back.
Okay.
Look, you can reach right in there
Yeah,
and
it
get
does.
some
It
of that.
matches it up really well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's so nice, and not only is it going to work well in the compost pile, but also be a wonderful bedding topping for all the flower beds.
Okay, and I can see where this would work really well on some of the larger leaves you may have in your yard.
Yeah, the larger leaves tend to get a little bit mushy and create layers, and it really doesn't decompose as quickly. So this is very, very beneficial for that.
All right, well, it certainly makes sense. You stay on the string trimmer, and I'll keep feeding you some leaves.
Okay, here we go.
Well, all of the work is complete, and the homeowners have already moved in, and everything really looks great. And the space seems absolutely enormous now that we've removed some of the walls. Before, there was a wall separating the foyer from the formal living room, another between the living room and the den, and a third dividing the living room and the dining room. Now we have one big open space, with each area defined by the furniture. The old paneling and grass cloth wallpaper in the den have given way to freshly painted drywall, and the whole area is brighter thanks to the new recessed lighting. The new hardwood flooring not only warms up the house, but also helps to unify the three different rooms we brought together. The new entertainment center looks great, and the owners are certain to enjoy the custom surround sound system. This project was a real success, but it could have easily turned into a disaster when we found the plumbing pipes during demolition coming down right inside our cased opening. Fortunately, the homeowners had planned a little pad in their budget so that we could relocate the plumbing pipes and make this look as good as it does now. Remember, Murphy's Law applies to almost every home improvement project, so keep that in mind when you're planning your next renovation. Hey, thanks for being with us this week. I'm Danny Lipford.